There is a softness to the Appalachians that teaches you not to be afraid. These are the oldest mountains on Earth, worn down over hundreds of millions of years until the jagged edges were gone, until all that was left were the low blue ridges you see stacked one behind another into the haze. Nothing about them looks like a threat. You drive the gravel road up to the cabin with the windows down. You let the dog off the leash at the trailhead. You wade into a cold creek up to your knees, and you do not think, not once, about what might be lying still in the leaf litter a single step to your left. That is not carelessness. It is a kind of agreement the whole region seems to have made, that the dangerous things live somewhere else, deeper in, back in the hollows nobody walks, out in the documentaries, not here, not on this stretch of trail, not under this porch. But the animals never agreed to any of it. They are in the leaf litter, they are under the porch, and the people who live closest to them are usually the ones who have trained themselves hardest not to look. Today, we are counting down 11 of them. 11 animals that live in these mountains in ways most residents would rather not think about, ranked not by how deadly they are on paper, but by how completely people have decided they are not really there. Before we start, where in the world are you watching from right now? Drop your town in the comments. I always love seeing how far these mountains reach. Now let's get into it. Number 11. The bobcat. We begin with a rumor that walks on 4 legs. The bobcat lives in every state the Appalachians touch, from northern Georgia clear up into Maine and beyond, and almost nobody ever sees one. That is not an accident. That is the entire design of the animal. An adult weighs somewhere between 15 and 35 pounds. A house cat redrawn longer in the leg and far more capable. And it hunts the exact seam where the backyard runs out and the tree line begins. The brush pile behind the shed, the overgrown fence row, the greenway at first light. The denial here is nearly total. A person catches a low shape crossing the driveway at dusk and decides it must have been somebody's escaped pet, because the other answer, that a wildcat keeps a regular hunting circuit along the back of their property, does not fit the story they tell themselves about where they live. The bobcat earns number 11 because it is the perfect door into this list. In these mountains, the most successful predators are the ones you have already decided are not real. Number 10. The coyote. If the bobcat is a ghost, the coyote is a tide that keeps rising. The eastern coyote is not the same lean desert animal people picture from out west. Over the last century, as it pushed east into the space wolves used to fill, it interbred along the way, and the version that lives in Appalachia now runs larger, heavier, bolder, an animal built for forest and farm edge alike. What most people get wrong is not whether it is here. Everyone half knows it is here. What they get wrong is how close. Coyotes den in the woodlots behind subdivisions. They cross church parking lots after dark. They work the drainage ditches and the ball fields and the gaps between houses, and they will take a cat or a small dog left out near the tree line without a sound. Here is the denial. When something crosses a lit road at 2 in the morning, the mind reaches for stray dog, because that is the only file most people keep. It is easier to believe a pet got loose than to accept that a wild predator has quietly folded the whole neighborhood into its territory. Number 10 belongs to the animal that moved in while everyone insisted it lived somewhere else. Number 9. The copperhead. Now we get to the ground itself. The copperhead is responsible for more venomous snake bites than any other snake in the eastern United States, and the reason is not aggression. It is patience. This is a snake that does not flee and does not rattle. Its whole survival strategy is to hold perfectly still and trust its camouflage, and that camouflage is close to perfect. a pattern of copper and tan hourglass bands that dissolves into a bed of dead leaves until the snake simply is not visible anymore. An adult runs 2 to 3 feet thick for its length. With a broad triangular head, it keeps low to the ground. The bite is rarely fatal to a healthy adult, but it is a genuine medical emergency, and the circumstances are almost always the same. Nobody goes looking for a copperhead. People step over a log without looking at the far side. They reach into the mulch bed to pull a weed. They set a hand down on a warm rock to steady themselves on a slope. They walk a familiar path at dusk in sandals, in the exact hour the snake comes out to warm itself on ground that held the day's heat. Copperheads are drawn to the edges people use most: the woodpile, the stone wall, the garden bed, the gap between the patio and the grass, which is precisely why so many bites happen within a few steps of a person's own back door. The denial with a copperhead is not that it exists. It is the quiet belief that you would see it coming. You would not. That is the entire point of the animal, and it is why it sits at number 9. Number 8. The wild boar. Deep in the southern Appalachians, especially through the Great Smoky Mountains, there is an animal that was never supposed to be here at all. Wild boar, descended from European stock brought over for hunting more than a century ago and crossed with escaped domestic pigs, have turned into one of the most destructive forces in these mountains. A big one can push 200 pounds or more, run faster than you would ever guess from the shape of it, and carry tusks it knows how to use. They travel in groups called sounders, sometimes a dozen or more moving together. They root up entire hillsides overnight, tearing through the soil for roots and grubs and anything edible, and leaving ground that looks tilled by a machine. They are mostly nocturnal, which means the animal that did all that visible damage is almost never seen doing it, and they are intelligent enough to shift their patterns the moment they feel hunted. The denial here is a strange one. People see the damage constantly, the churned earth along the trail, the wallows in the low ground, and they file it under wild without ever picturing the animal that did it. A boar is not a background feature of the landscape. It is a heavy, tusked, short-tempered animal that will hold its ground when cornered, and it earns number 8 because the mountains are full of its signature, while almost nobody pictures the thing itself. Number 7. The black widow. Not everything on this list is large. Some of what should stop you cold would fit in the palm of your hand, if you were foolish enough to offer it one. The black widow lives throughout the Appalachian region, and it does not build its web out in the open where you would notice. It builds low and hidden, in the places human hands go without looking. The underside of a woodpile, the back corner of a shed, the dark inside of a boot left on the porch overnight, the gap beneath a rarely moved flower pot. You know the female by the polished black body and the red hourglass marked on her underside. Though by the time you are close enough to read it, you are closer than you want to be. Its venom is a neurotoxin many times stronger, drop for drop, than that of a rattlesnake, though it delivers a far smaller dose, enough to cause hours of severe pain, cramping, and sickness in a grown adult. The denial with a black widow is a matter of scale. People simply do not believe that something so small could matter, so they reach into the dark spaces without thinking, the exact spaces the spider has chosen precisely because human hands go there without looking. It sits at number 7, because the danger in these mountains is not always the thing that fills the doorway. Sometimes it is the thing tucked into the one corner you never clean. Number 6. The timber rattlesnake. Where the copperhead survives by silence, the timber rattlesnake carries a warning and is still again and again not heard in time. This is a large, heavy-bodied snake, capable of exceeding 4 feet, carrying potent venom in long fangs and living across a huge span of the Appalachian range, on the rocky slopes, along the ridgelines, in the sun-warmed talus, where it dens through the cold months in numbers. And here is the cruel part. The rattle only helps you if you are listening. The timber rattlesnake is not quick to use it. It would rather not be found at all, so it relies first on stillness and camouflage, the same as the copperhead, and only sounds off when it feels genuinely cornered, which is often the exact moment a person has already stepped far too close. There is something else people rarely know about this snake. In the colder parts of the range, timber rattlesnakes return to the same rocky dens year after year, sometimes dozens of animals overwintering together in the same slope of broken stone, which means a single sunny ledge on a warm autumn afternoon can hold far more of them than anyone walking past would ever imagine. The denial is the belief that a rattlesnake announces itself in time to matter. On the ridgelines of these mountains, it frequently does not, and that quiet is why it earns number 6. Number 5. The brown recluse. We stay small, and we get quieter still. The brown recluse pushes into the lower and western edges of the Appalachian region, and of everything on this list, it may be the one people are least able to picture accurately. It is not aggressive. It does not hunt people. Almost every serious encounter happens the same way, by accident, by pressure. The spider has worked its way into a stored box, a folded tarp, a jacket left hanging in the garage over winter, a pair of gloves, the sheets of a guest bed nobody has slept in for months. And then a person puts that thing on, or reaches into it, and traps the spider against their own skin, and the spider does the only thing left to it. Its bite can, in some cases, kill the tissue around the wound, opening a slow, ugly injury that is genuinely hard to treat. The denial here is almost total because the recluse asks nothing of you and gives no warning at all. It is simply already there, in the box you have not opened since you moved in, and that patient invisibility is why it sits at number 5. Number 4. The moose. In the northern reaches of the Appalachians, up through New England and into the mountains of the far northeast, the list changes shape entirely, because here the most dangerous animal is not a predator at all. It is enormous. It eats plants, and it injures more people in its range than the bears and the big cats combined. A bull moose can stand well over 6 feet at the shoulder and weigh 1,000 pounds or more, and the danger it poses comes almost entirely from how badly people misread it. It does not look like a threat. It looks slow, calm, almost tame, close enough to photograph, so people close the distance for the picture. But a moose is territorial, easily provoked, and astonishingly fast when it decides it has had enough, and a cow with a calf nearby operates on a hair trigger. The denial here is the deadliest kind on the whole list. The belief that size and calm mean safety. They mean the opposite. Number 4 goes to the animal people walk toward precisely because it does not look like it should scare them. Number 3. The black bear. Now the one everybody already knows is here, which is exactly why it is so misjudged. The Appalachians hold one of the densest black bear populations anywhere in the country, and in the places where mountains meet towns and campgrounds and cabin rentals, those bears have learned something dangerous. They have learned that people mean food. A black bear will rarely hunt a person. That is true, and it is the sentence that gets people hurt, because it is not the whole truth. A bear that has lost its fear of humans, that has been fed from a car window, or has learned to raid a cooler and a garbage can and an unlocked kitchen, is an enormous, powerful wild animal that no longer keeps its distance. The denial here is not that the bear exists. Everyone knows the bear exists. The denial is the belief that because attacks are rare, closeness is safe. So people feed them, photograph them at arm's length, and let their children drift toward the tree line for a better look. Number 3 belongs to the animal made dangerous less by its nature than by our own bad habits. Number 2, the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. As the mountains slope down toward the south, into the lower ridges and pine country at the southern end of the range, they hold the largest venomous snake in North America. An eastern diamondback can exceed 6 feet and carries a volume of venom that dwarfs anything else on this list. This is not a small animal hidden in a corner. It is a heavy, powerful snake capable of striking a remarkable distance, and its decline in numbers has done something strange to how people think about it. Because it is seen less often now, many assume it is essentially gone. A snake from an older, wilder version of the region. It is not gone. It is still out there in the palmetto and the pine and the brush at the foot of the mountains. And the assumption that it belongs to the past is exactly what puts an unprepared foot too close to it. Number 2 goes to the giant that people have mostly filed under legend, while it is still, quietly, entirely real. And before the last one, if these mountains have ever made the hair on your neck stand up even once, you already understand this channel. Consider subscribing, because there is far more hiding out here than 11. Number 1. Ourselves and the mountains we refuse to respect. The single most dangerous thing in the Appalachians is not an animal at all. It is the way people move through them. Every year, the search and rescue teams across this range are called out far more often for humans than for anything with fangs or claws, and the pattern almost never changes. Someone treats the oldest, gentlest looking mountains on Earth as though gentle means safe. They start a long trail late in the day. They wander off the path chasing a view or a photograph. They ignore the cold front rolling in because the parking lot was warm and sunny an hour ago. And these mountains change weather faster than almost anywhere, dropping fog and cold and rain over a ridge in minutes. They go out alone, tell no one where, carry no water, and trust a phone that loses signal the moment the trees close overhead. The animals on this list have kept their side of an old arrangement for millions of years. They hold still. They stay hidden. They ask only that you look before you step, and keep your distance when you see. Almost every genuinely dangerous encounter in these mountains comes down to a person who forgot to do one of those 2 simple things. So the bobcat is still on the fence line at first light. The copperhead is still folded into the leaves beside the log. And somewhere up a hollow you have driven past 100 times, a whole world of animals is holding perfectly still, exactly as it has since long before these roads had names. The mountains were never tame. They only ever looked that way. And the surface of every trail and creek and quiet green ridge tells you almost nothing about what is holding still just off the path, waiting the way it has waited since long before there was anyone here to pretend otherwise.